The year was 1940. World War II was in full swing, and although the echoes of the war resonated around the world, in the streets of the South Bronx, the struggle was of a different nature. The raw and relentless streets of the South Bronx in New York City, were a reflection of the harshness of urban life. The sidewalks were filled with children playing, while adults hurried to their jobs, trying to make a living in an environment that didn't offer many opportunities. It was here, in the midst of the urban struggle, that Alfredo James Pacino was born, on Monday, April 25, 1940. In a modest hospital, surrounded by the hopes and fears of an immigrant family, he came into the world, a child who would later become a cinema legend. Life was far from idyllic. His parents, Salvatore and Rose, were children of Italian immigrants who had come to America in search of a better future. However, the reality was harsh, and their lives were a constant battle against the grips of poverty. They lived in a small apartment where every day was a struggle to survive. Their marriage collapsed when the little one was only 2 years old, which cast a shadow over his childhood. The separation of his parents left a deep mark on him, and from an early age, Al had to face the reality of a broken family. Broken. Raised mainly by his maternal grandparents in a cramped apartment, Al Pacino's world was one of limited resources and even more limited expectations. His grandparents, who had experienced the harshness of life as immigrants, did everything they could to give him a better life. But the limitations were evident. The South Bronx was a breeding ground for hardships. Its streets echoed with the stories of those struggling to survive. The community was full of people who, despite the adversities, maintained hope and resilience. However, within this environment, a seed of ambition began to germinate within the young boy. Despite the difficulties, the south of the city was a place full of life. He always had a spark of curiosity and a desire for something greater. He looked around and dreamed of a different future. He found comfort and escape in the flickering images of the big screen. Movies were his refuge, a place where he could lose himself in stories of heroes and villains, of love and adventure. The movie theaters became his sanctuary, offering him a glimpse into worlds far removed from his own. Each visit to the cinema was an opportunity to dream, to imagine himself in places and situations beyond his everyday reality. Little did he know that these early encounters with the magic of cinema would plant the seeds of an extraordinary journey. The stories he saw on the screen ignited a passion in him, a passion that would lead him to pursue a career in acting. A journey that would see him transcend his humble beginnings and etch his name in the annals of film history. From those early days in the South Bronx, Al Pacino began to forge a path that would lead him to become one of the most iconic actors of his generation, demonstrating that, despite adversities, dreams can come true. Even as a child, Al Pacino possessed a certain charisma. From a very young age, it was evident that there was something special about him. It wasn't just his appearance or the way he spoke, but a spark in his eyes that suggested a rich and vibrant inner world. He had a way of drawing attention, of pulling people into his orbit. His friends and classmates were naturally drawn to his energy and enthusiasm. Al wasn't just another kid on the playground. He was the center of attention, the storyteller, the one who always had something interesting to say. He discovered a love for storytelling, and often entertained his classmates with animated recounts of movies he had seen or characters he admired. His stories weren't just simple tales, they were miniature performances, full of emotion and drama, every word, every gesture. It was carefully calculated to keep his audience captivated. This passion for performance, however, was not always met with applause. Sometimes his efforts to stand out made him feel isolated. Not everyone understood his fervor for the art of acting, and he often found himself at odds with the conventional expectations of his surroundings. School held little appeal for Al. Traditional subjects and the rigid structure of the educational system failed to capture his interest. While other students focused on their studies, he dreamed of stages and characters, of worlds that existed beyond the classroom walls. He struggled to adapt. His mind was more concerned with the world of imagination than with the rigidity of textbooks. He often got lost in his thoughts, imagining dialogues and scenes while the teachers tried unsuccessfully to capture his attention. His grades suffered, and he eventually dropped out of high school, to his family's disappointment. It was a difficult time, full of uncertainty and concern. His loved ones feared for his future, worried that his lack of formal education would limit his opportunities in life. However, Alcy stood firm. Despite the doubts and criticisms, he was determined to follow his own path. He knew that acting was not just a hobby. It was his true vocation, the calling of his soul. Deep down, he knew that his path lay elsewhere, his destiny intertwined with the pursuit of his artistic dreams. It didn't matter, no matter how uncertain the future was. Al was willing to risk it all for the chance to pursue his passion. This decision to leave school marked a crucial moment in his life. It was an act of bravery and conviction, a declaration of his unwavering commitment to his art. By taking this step, Al was charting his own path, one that would lead him to places he couldn't even imagine at that moment. It was a bold declaration of his commitment to his craft. It wasn't just about a fleeting dream. It was a deep and sincere dedication to acting. Al began to seek opportunities to learn and grow, determined to hone his natural talent. He enrolled in the High School of Performing Arts, a haven for aspiring artists in New York City. Here he found an environment that finally resonated with his creative spirit. Surrounded by other young people passionate about art, Al found a place where he could be himself. Here, surrounded by like-minded individuals, Al Pacino began to flourish. The energy and enthusiasm of his peers inspired him to strive even harder. Every day was a new opportunity to learn, to explore different aspects of acting, and to challenge himself. He perfected his natural talent, immersing himself in the world of acting, studying the nuances of performance with unwavering dedication. He spent hours rehearsing scenes, analyzing characters, and exploring different acting techniques. His passion and dedication did not go unnoticed, and he soon began to stand out as one of the most promising students at the school. Each performance was an opportunity to grow, to learn something new, and to get one step closer to his dream. Al Pacino was in his element, and every day at the School of Performing Arts brought him closer to becoming the actor he had always dreamed of being. Looking back, it is clear that these early years were fundamental in shaping the man and the actor that Al Pacino would become. They were years of struggle and sacrifice, but also of discovery and growth. They were the years in which a passion was ignited, a passion that would continue to burn brightly throughout his life and career. The road to success is rarely paved with gold, and Al Pacino's journey was no exception. From his early days, Pacino showed an unwavering passion for acting, but he knew the path would be arduous and full of challenges. The years following his formal training were marked by struggle and uncertainty. At the acting school, he stood out for his dedication and talent, but the real world was a completely different battlefield. He found himself adrift in a sea of aspiring actors, all competing for the same opportunities. Elusive. Each audition was a test of his resilience and determination, and each rejection a lesson in humility. Rejection became a constant companion. Each failed audition was a blow to his confidence. However, each no was also an opportunity to reflect and improve, to hone his craft and prepare for the next opportunity. To make ends meet, he took on a series of odd jobs, each one a harsh reminder of his unfulfilled aspirations. He worked in cafes, restaurants, and any place that allowed him to earn enough to keep pursuing his dream. He worked as a waiter assistant, a messenger. Even with Serge, each job was another piece in the puzzle of his life, a life that had not yet found its definitive form, all the while carrying the weight of his dreams on his shoulders. Every step he took, every job he accepted, was a constant reminder of how far he was from his goal, but also of how close he could be if he didn't give up. There were moments when he was drawn to the allure of a stable and conventional life. The idea of a life without the constant struggle and rejection was tempting, but there was always something that kept him on the path. Moments when the sacrifices he was making seemed insurmountable. The sleepless nights, the financial worries, and the constant pressure of not knowing if he would ever achieve his dream weighed heavily on him. However, something inside him refused to give up. An inner voice, a spark of hope, always pushed him to keep going, to try once more. He possessed an unbreakable faith in his abilities, a deeply rooted conviction that his moment would come. He knew that every rehearsal, every line practiced, brought him one step closer to his dream. He continued to perfect his craft, attending acting classes, learning from every experience and from every teacher he encountered along his path, participating in workshops and immersing himself in the world of theater. Every performance, no matter how small, was an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to showcase his talent. It was during this period of intense struggle that Pacino's character was forged. Every challenge, every obstacle, made him stronger and more determined. He emerged from the crucible of rejection stronger, more resilient and more determined than ever to succeed. His story is a testament to perseverance, passion, and an unbreakable belief in oneself, an inspiration for all who dream of reaching for the stars. The year 1969 proved to be a turning point in Al Pacino's life. After years of working in obscurity, he landed his first major film role in Natalie. It wasn't a leading role, but it provided him with a valuable opportunity to showcase his talent on a broader platform. His performance, though brief, caught the attention of critics and casting directors alike. The film itself may not have achieved commercial success, but for Al Pacino, it was a significant breakthrough. It marked the beginning of his rise in Hollywood, a journey that would see him become one of the most celebrated actors of his generation.